Interesting. So when 2012 rolls around, will any of these candidates be strong enough to make President Obama have to change his address? That's the big question. Joining us now is Christian Hines, reporter for The Hill. Christian, good evening. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, today is Ron Paul's day. It's the day he announced. What do you make of his candidacy? Do you think he's right that there is more momentum for his line of thinking this time around?
You know, I think your interview right there was so fascinating because you kind of saw how he's going to be a significant candidate, but not a significant threat to win the nomination. Because you were talking with him about whether it was right to go in and get bin Laden and whether you could do it from Afghanistan or not. And you can see his answers aren't going to play well in a Republican primary. But what's important is that he's raising questions that other candidates aren't raising right now. So just by virtue of that, he will be a significant player in the nomination fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely he is the signature person for this libertarian movement that has definitely gained a lot more traction. And I think you're right. He will be the voice of a lot of people who have kind of gathered behind that philosophy in this country, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact it has on the race overall. Let's talk a little bit about Mike Huckabee, who of course has a show here on Fox, and has said that he's going to make a big announcement, I should say, over the weekend. Lots of what I'm seeing out there suggests that will point to him deciding not to run. I have no idea whether or not he's going to run or what he's going to say this weekend. What do you think?
You know, I have no idea, but I think the bettors on Intrade do. His shares have been crashing on Intrade right now. It's a betting market to see who they think is going to win the nomination. And most pundits say, yeah, he's not going to win because, as you know, using Fox News as a conduit to announce his run, you know, there are some tricky legal ramifications to that. So I don't think a lot of people think he's going to announce, but they're sure going to be watching him.
Yeah, indeed they will. And, you know, the other name that has been really starting to get a little bit more momentum in some interesting ways is Mitch Daniels. And one of the things that cropped up yesterday was that Laura Bush called Mitch Daniels' wife, and there's a whole nother story about all of that, to basically lend her support, to talk to her about what it's like to be the First Lady. I don't know what they discussed, but that was a suggestion that she was giving her, some moral support as she went out there and made this big speech last night. Do you feel that there's momentum building around Mitch Daniels?
I think so, and I mean, the Laura Bush call right there shows that really the biggest impediment to Mitch Daniels is familial concerns. His wife is very publicity shy, and she's let it known that she is not comfortable with the national campaign. And over the past 6 or so months, she's been sort of like doing more and more public appearances, trying to get comfortable with it. But I really think, a lot of politicians say, oh, it's all about the family. If my family doesn't want me to run, I won't run. Mm-hmm. With Mitch Daniels, everyone knows that's the case, that he is going to base his decision on his family.
It's interesting, and it raises a question about First Ladies and about partnership in these races and how significant it is. I think back to other First Ladies who were, a little bit more shy, perhaps a little bit hung back. Pat Nixon comes to mind in terms of people who didn't really love the whole political process that much, but, they were troopers and they stood by their husbands in that role. Given the kind of world we live in now, can you pull that off, or do you have to be, a very sort of out there participant in the process?
If John McCain would have won, I think we would have had a good example because Cindy McCain was not, she didn't enjoy it, but she was a trooper, she pulled through, but, I don't think, Michelle Obama, she's been out there pretty much, so we don't have a good example in the modern age.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and we'll see how it goes. Christian, great talking with you. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Christian Hines,
thanks so much for having me.
Reporter for The Hill. All right.